All right, so the first thing to do is to create a directory. We can say, you can come to your CLI, say make directory token, then cd to it, forge in a no commit. Okay, I've taught you how to quickly fix this. So forge in a force. All right, that's going very successfully. As you are aware, there is a contract that comes with Foundry when you use the template, and that is the counter contract. This is what we'll be using to test our deployment in this tutorial. So after this is set up, then cd to src, then say forge build to compile, because you cannot test or you cannot deploy without actually compiling your code. So you have to compile first, which is why forge build is essential. So right now we've run forge build in our terminal, and let's see how it goes. Great. Our deployment is currently successful, and that is great to hear. So at this point, you need like two things to get started. The first thing is a private key from MetaMask or any wallet of your choice. Then the second thing is an RPC URL. And I'll be showing you how you can use Alchemy RPC URL and MetaMask private key to kind of do what we want to do here and have your way. By the way, this is not a sponsored post, so I'm just sharing what I find useful while building. So these are products you should get familiar with as a developer. This is how a private key looks. Now let's go ahead to get her RPC URL. Well, I recommend Alchemy. I mean, their stuff is good. So this is Alchemy. Come here. This is where you get your, you know, don't select mainnet, select Sepolia, then click copy. This is your actual RPC URL in the instant case. Then you need faucet for your deployments. Then come to Chainlink gave me good faucets without stress. So come to Chainlink, just come here, connect your wallet, and get some good Ethereum Sepolia for our deployment. And if you have all these things, then we are good to go. In Foundry, you create contract with Forge Create. Then you say your RPC URL and you include your private key. Then you kind of say the path of the contract or contracts you want to deploy or the main contract you want to deploy. So let's get into it that way. We'll say forge creates RPC URL. Let me go grab it from Alchemy. Of course, always remember to use Sepolia because we are deploying on testnets. So then your private key, I'll go over to my MetaMask again and paste it. Then you will have to spell out the path, right? So in the instant case, we have src counter the soul. Then you measure the name of the contract you want to deploy. And so this is counter. You say colon the name of the contract, and don't put space after the colon. Just put the name of the contract right after the colon. Don't put any space in between. If you put a space, it's you definitely get an error. So don't just put it right after the colon. So come say counter.so then counter. And here our contract is deployed. You can see the address that deployed it. This is the address from the MetaMask. This is where it's deployed to, and you can see the transaction hash. You know, then you can copy this to follow it up on etherscan Sepolia and see if it was actually deployed. Don't trust, verify. And this we have copied the transaction hash. Right now, let's come to Sepolia etherscan, paste it, and see if it will fetch anything. So this is the proof that the contract was actually deployed on Sepolia testnet. You can see the hash, it correlates the timing 1 minute ago, and stuff like that. Almost everything else we need to know: the gas price, 2.6 GWE, and everything. Everything we need to know is right here, and that shows that the contract was actually deployed. Then there is another important thing I should show you, and that is how to deploy when you have constructor or when you have parameters in your constructor you have to pass. So now let's think of making this current contract an ERC20 contract, and I'll be importing Solmate and be using ERC20 in the contract. So we'll have something in the constructor to pass. Then let's do that. Come to your CLI. Okay, let's clean this up. Okay, say forge install Solmate. Then that should fetch you. All right, so we have Soulmate added to the LIB of our contract. Right now, let's try to make the main counter contract an ERC20 contract. So we can say, let's just import it and say import ERC20 from Soulmate. Soulmate tokens ERC20. So then this contract has to interface it. So is ERC20. Then of course, we'll have to pass the constructor of ERC20 to the contract to make it an actual ERC20 contract. So let's come here and declare constructor. Constructor. What's the name of the token? String memory. If you're familiar with ERC20 generally, then you should kind of get to what we are doing here and be a bit familiar. If you are not, you can make some comments in the comment section, and I'll probably make some videos on ERC20 soon. Okay, actually, this thing should be part of the arguments, so we can pass them later on. So make them arguments, then this is where kind of initialize it. So let's say means MSG the sender and initial supply. Let's kind of build it to see if it will go as we planned. But then we have a deploy dot s.so and deploy dot t.so that don't quite align with this new experimentation. Let's just delete them. Come to your counter.t.so, delete it on that script, delete your counter.s.so, then let's kind of say forge build again because it's new. All right, our new deployment, our new compilation was successful. So right now let's try and deploy it. Forge create RPC URL. Let's grab it from alchemy again. then private key, go to your MetaMask, then this is where it gets interesting. We call the constructor args. Constructor args is where you actually put all the arguments in your constructor, all the parameters in your constructor. So you have to declare this first, then you say them. So let's go to our contract. What are the things that are important? Um, name, string name, symbol, decimal. So let's say name is John Dokun, symbol GTK. Then what's let's use 18 for decimal or whatever the initial supply. I don't want it to be much, 1000. Then let's try to run this, but then we cannot run it. Remember that you have to specify the path of your contract. So you say src, what's the name of the contract? What's the path of the contract? Counter.so colon, then right after the colon, don't put space. Right after the colon, say the name of the contract, counter. All right. So there is something you must keep in mind. There is an order to which you must declare things when you're trying to use Forge Create. The CLI is not so intelligent, so you have to say it one after the other. Let's say RPC URL, then declare your constructor arguments before you put your private key. I mean, something like this in this order. And as you can see, our contract has been successfully deployed. So I'll recommend you also take time to play with these things yourself. There are some things you know better when you play with them. So